The Amazing World of Gumball is a legendary cartoon that narrates the absurd and funny events of the Watterson family in each episode. Gumball is not an ordinary cartoon. It makes popular culture references and has a very good sense of humor, making it one of the best cartoons. Different characters and events are depicted in each episode. This cartoon also has a side with scary details and aspects that are not suitable for children, such as homosexual characters or Richard's desire to become a woman. Today's video will focus on the scary story of Gumball. But before we dive in, I want to provide some context. As you know, this concept was also done by Adal, a YouTuber you may be familiar with. I admit to being inspired by that. However, foreign channels have frequently made this content before, and I prepared a video with this concept because I wanted you to watch it with the narration of a local YouTuber other than Adal. Please do not comment as if I stole from him or her. I hope you like the video. Now let's move on to the video, starting with the pilot episode where Gumball first appeared. Here you see that Gumball and Darwin's designs are different. Also, other characters have a different and darker drawing style. In fact, Gumball was going to debut with this style, but the publisher Cartoon Network said it was not suitable for children. They said it was too dark, and the different drawing styles of the characters were frightening, so this drawing style was changed, and the rest started to be broadcast on Cartoon Network. Now let's come to the important problem of homosexuality, which is the strange relationship of Gumball and Darwin in many episodes. For example, in one episode, when Terry asked Darwin who he kissed, Darwin said he did it with Gumball 5 times in total, more than his girlfriend. It's weird, but what's even weirder is the relationship between Gumball and the Sausage Man. In a few episodes, we see that Gumball and this Sausage Man got very close. The most notable scene may be the tent scene. While Gumball and the Sausage Man are staying in the tent, Gumball climbs on top of the Sausage Man out of boredom. The Sausage Man wakes up, and everything starts from there. They begin dancing in a strange way. But the most important thing is what it looks like outside the tent. Such underlying messages in a children's cartoon are really suspicious because when we were kids, we watched them without understanding them. But now everything has started to change. In one episode, Gumball went to school wearing a wedding dress, and Darwin fell in love without knowing that it was Gumball. In another scene, Gumball's future dream shows that Gumball has many children. When Darwin comes and says he wants more children, Gumball starts to cry, and you understand what this means. Darwin doesn't understand how he didn't realize that Gumball was a male after marrying him, or maybe he did. In another episode, Gumball is sad about Alan. After talking to Alan, Alan asks him to inflate himself, and Gumball does this, but his face after coming out of the toilet is not very nice. You understand now where Alan is. I think in the next episode, a character named Sarah finds a notebook with the Cartoon Network logo, but this episode is actually a reference to an anime called Death Note. Whatever Sarah writes in this notebook comes true, including Gumball and Darwin getting married, which happens. This episode was banned in some regions due to homosexuality. Suddenly, he enters Banana Joe's room, where we see that Banana Joe is secretly watching a video of the opening of a tangerine. He closes the door with a confused expression and leaves. Actually, that tangerine resembles something. I don't think I need to explain because he is looking at a banana and a tangerine. Anyway, the character named Tobias follows. When he goes to the school toilet, he opens the door of a stall, and Gumball appears there, inviting him to join with a suggestive look. Tobias looks at him as if to say, "What the hell is going on?" and runs away. Also, in the first seasons, Gumball usually went out to school or outside naked, which I think is a big problem. But in future seasons, this scene was probably cut due to Cartoon Network's warnings. However, Gumball's inappropriate scenes do not end there. In one scene, Mr. Small offers Gumball and Darwin chamomile tea, and they get high after drinking it. Gumball and Darwin do not react to anything. It becomes clear that this tea contains intoxicating substances in a softened form. Who gets high from chamomile tea, right? The presence of intoxicating substances in Gumball did not end there. In the 28th episode of Season 3, after eating what they think is cereal, Gumball and Darwin get high, see different figures and visuals, and at the end, Gumball wakes up in the park, passed out, and wearing a princess dress. The message underneath is that as children, we didn't understand these things. Not only that, but in many scenes, Gumball secretly defends homosexual rights. But now, let me skip these and tell you the real story of Gumball. Moreover, it shows us that it is not a children's cartoon, not only with these aspects, but also with its scary aspects. For example, This scene is like a scene taken from a children's horror game, but it is not the only thing. There is also a character called the Mysterious Clown in the series. You can see this clown at different points of the screen in almost every episode. In one episode, we see Alan, who is a balloon, kill his family. Besides, there is a lost episode called Gumball Grieving, which is filled with blood and suicide scenes. However, a little research reveals that this episode is fake. The producers even released an episode mocking this belief. This episode, which we used to believe as children, was fake, but now things are getting more serious because it is not suitable for children. For those who don't know, an episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared was made. This series contains a lot of blood, suicide, and scenes that are not suitable for children. In the 5th season and 40th episode called Puppet, Gumball and Darwin go to the puppet world and encounter the exact same characters. The same events in the first episode of Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared start to happen, and things get scary. They catch Darwin, and while they are about to torture him, Gumball enters. I don't know how Cartoon Network allowed this episode, as it is an adaptation of a series that is seriously not suitable for children. Lastly, Gumball's problems do not end there. The biggest problem in the cartoon is Gumball's father, Richard. In many episodes, Richard shows his desire to turn into a woman. For example, in one episode, he is seen wearing Nicole's clothes and lipstick. In another episode, he is seen wearing a red dress and a blonde wig, walking outside like this. Most of these scenes were not broadcast by censorship authorities. The most shocking incident takes place in the 2nd episode of the 6th season called Lady. When Gumball and Darwin go home one day, a strange woman opens the door. The woman closes the door, and when she opens it, Richard appears. It turns out that the woman is Richard, and he explains that he doesn't feel like a man and changed his gender to have female friends. At the end of the episode, it turns out that the other women are actually men. Now let's move on to Gumball's story. More precisely, the story of the Void. As you know, our story revolves around Gumball. Even though Gumball is the main character, it's Elmore that can control everyone there. For example, in Season 4, Episode 4, Gumball realizes that there are other characters at the school and wants to prevent Claire from leaving Elmore. In this episode, Gumball goes crazy and convinces Tina to overturn the bus without complying with the city's rules. All the people gather and start celebrating like crazy, showing that Gumball can control anyone he wants. The Wattersons end every episode by destroying something or blowing up the city and continue their lives as if nothing happened. No one questions them. Elmore revolves around them. Of course, since the name of the cartoon is Gumball, it's his show. Gumball knows that he is in a television show. He even says this in many episodes, remarking that everyone is spying on each other. Right now, there is someone who is spying on us too. I have to tell you about Rob because he is an important character, and the only one who is aware that Elmore will disappear. In the first seasons of Gumball, Rob was just a side character, generally forgotten by Gumball and Darwin. Since most people did not care about him, he is one of the forgotten ones of the Gumball universe called the Void. In one episode, Gumball, Darwin, and Mr. Small discover the Void and look for Molly inside. Rob asks for their help, but Gumball and Darwin do not see him. They take Molly and leave, but Rob manages to escape the Void at the last minute, albeit severely damaged. After this time, Rob becomes the arch-enemy of Gumball and Darwin, unsuccessfully trying to do evil to them. Another important character is Barbara, Rob's mother, who is a little stupid but draws pictures that see the future, determining Elmore's fate. Even though a picture made the Gumball finale, it still hasn't happened. Rob kidnaps Barbara and forces her to draw the future. Barbara repeatedly draws the Void, indicating that the future is nothingness. Gumball and Darwin eventually save Barbara and delete Rob, but in the final episode of Gumball, Rob returns in human form and warns them about what will happen. He is then beaten by Tina and faints. At night, Elmore begins to disappear into the Void. The Void starts inside the school and Elmore slowly vanishes. Meanwhile, Rob falls into the Void, and this is where the series finale occurs. Many found the Gumball finale meaningless and incomplete, and to some extent this is true. But a scarier truth lies behind it. Elmore may seem populated, but there are no real people. Characters like Claire or Elmore's president may look human, but they are not. In the episode called The Copycats, characters from another school also appear human, but they only show up in one episode. It's not like there are real people in Gumball. For example, news anchors or bobbin makers may look human, but they are not. The reason there are no real people in Elmore is that they were all transformed from humans into cartoon characters for The Amazing World of Gumball. Remember the announcer I mentioned earlier? After a few seasons, she is no longer human and turns into a puppet. Or take the character Susie. In the Dream episode, she turns into a human and runs away in fear. All other characters living in Elmore were once human but were transformed into characters for the cartoon. The proof of this is that in the final episode, Rob tries to turn the Elmore students into human bodies to save everyone. He almost succeeds, but is stopped by Gumball and Darwin. Since the Gumball cartoon had its finale, the void began to spread, and Rob was aware of this, trying to transform them back into humans and get them out of the cartoon. He failed, and thus I have shared with you the scary facts and story of Gumball. In the new Gumball movie, we will watch the Wattersons escape from the void. Most likely, I will make a video about it when it comes out. I hope you liked my video. If this video gets 5,000 likes, I will continue to explain the scary facts of cartoons in this way. See you in the next videos. Goodbye.